Can finish up, get the radiator relocate done. I still haven't got the right hose. When we get a better hose, that'll look better. This is getting painted black except for one strip, so we can see the level. It does clear my snorkel just barely. In the front, I got the saddle bracket lift, and then a half-inch spacer on each side with the preload maxed out, sitting right at 2 inches of lift. Looks a lot better. Feels a little top-heavy, but it did suck the front wheels in a little bit, so it doesn't look as wide in the front, which is good. The back, I was not happy with the lift it came with. The high-lifter lift was, the back bracket wasn't very sturdy. It just sat and it was just, leveraging against the frame, and it wanted me to trim my frame up here to let the arms drop down too far. And even with them dropping down with the spacers, I was still pulling the shafts out of the cups. That's why I have an aftermarket axle here, because it's a little longer than the stock one. Every time I hit a bump with the high-lifter lift kit and the stock axle, it says you don't need a spacer on this side, but my shaft was sliding out of the cup. So I went ahead stronger than high-lifters, and I brought the shock back some, which makes it stiffer, right, because it's closer to the line of the axle, so it gets better leverage. So I lost a little bit of travel, but that made it stiffer. And it meant I don't have as much down travel anymore, so I didn't have to trim the frame, which I think is ridiculous. I did use the sway bar, extended sway bar links that came with the kit there. They're pretty nice. So yeah, I have one big axle and one tiny axle again, but we'll see how it works. These spacers they come with, if you wanted to make your own rear lift, buy some metal. Ace Hardware has spacers that are almost the perfect size. Just stack 2 of their big washers, and that'll give you the spacer. So I have one spacer on this axle, and then I have one small spacer on this axle, and then the lift kit spacers there. And I have just a little bit of free play in this one. I wouldn't be surprised if this axle ended up coming out. This axle feels pretty good though. But yep, that's the lift. Huge pain in the ass, just like everything else in this bike. It's just not fun to work on. And the radiator support was a huge pain in the ass too, especially because they don't make a radiator for this bike. Should have just made my own, but oh well. It's on there, but it's not as sturdy as I'd like it to be. Probably gonna put a few more bolts. Yep, there she sits. A lot higher with that little 2-inch lid. The bike is so low for the factory. But my axle angles are pretty bad now, so I'll probably break some front axles. I've only broken rears so far. What is interesting about the lift is it moves, when you lift it, it moves the axle center line forward. See how close the wheel is right there? It doesn't rub or anything. What it does do is make it easier to do wheelies. I think the lift compensated for this extra weight I added up here, because it still wheelies just about as easy as it did before the lift and radiator relocate. Belt on, I changed the weights in the CVT. I put a little bit heavier weights, and I took out the secondary spring because I don't like how it's revving. The new belt, I put a Maverick belt this time to try that out. Feels a little better, but oh yeah, and we got a 2-inch lift kit on now, and we've got the radiator relocate. So let's see how she does in my yard. Dead stop, low range. Woo, a little more top heavy. Definitely like the way it's revving better. Probably gonna have a little less belt life without the secondary spring, but the Maverick belt to me looks like a softer rubber that's gonna be a little stickier. So we'll see how she does. The lift kit has definitely made it more top heavy, as well as the heavy ass radiator relocate. The bike was already top heavy, now it's super top heavy even though I'm running 1-inch wheel spacers. So it is what it is. You just gotta take it easy. But that lift made a huge difference. I got probably 2.5 inches on the back and about 2 in the front, maybe 2.5 with my little spacers, but it's significantly higher than stock, way more ground clearance, so it should work pretty good. There's my lift brackets. Just pretty simple. Drilled 8 holes, some metal. The back rack on the Can-Am is higher than the front rack on the Honda, the lift kit. Oh my god. That being said, the shocks are at the lowest setting on the 0 PSI, but just